Either nobody is looking at or engaging with your artwork that you share online, or nobody is following you or you're losing followers. And in general, the overall engagement with your social platforms have been decreasing or plateauing with time. And you know, I've been there, I'm still kind of there, and I'm here to tell you why some of it is probably because of the algorithm, but why some of it is also because of you. So don't take this video too personally, because I have done these mistakes myself, and I know that not every artist is a comic artist, and some of you might be illustrators or painters, but at the same time, some of these principles might still apply. So I hate to say this, but if you're not gaining the engagement that you want on Instagram or even on YouTube, it's probably because the cover image of your artwork is something that's just not interesting to the viewer. And I know this kind of leans towards needing to create something that looks clickbaity, which, yeah, to a degree it's true, but you don't need to make like really ridiculous clickbaity covers for your artwork just for people to look at it. So for example, as a comic artist, a lot of my work is story driven. So something that I might post as the first image of my carousel post will usually be an image that will probably make people curious as to what this is about when they see it on their feed or they're scrolling past it and they're just like, hey, what is this about? So for example, any comics I post that have like a very straight on face of my character, kind of like insinuating some sort of situation in the story, usually those will perform well, because when people are scrolling past it, it's kind of like the hook. They'll be like, hey, what's this about? And they want to scroll through it more. So if you're someone who like paints or illustrates, and honestly you just have a landscape painting that you are gonna post, I personally find that standalone images don't really do that well on Instagram anymore. So what I would say is to either create a reel or have a carousel post of your painting, but you have to choose something that is either the most satisfying or alluring part of your painting that could get people to want to look at it even longer. So even if you do a very detailed painting, you might wonder what area can you crop into that would get a viewer to want to look at it even more. If you have an illustration with a lot of details, you might want to focus on a part that is either very popular with people or very curiosity inducing to people. But being aware of what's trending at the same time can also give you like ideas of either what to paint in your painting or drawing. But one way that you can look up what's even trending if you don't know what's trending is going on Google Trend and just simply searching up the keywords and see how much they are searched over time. And whatever is searched the most will probably be able to capture a more universal audience in your painting or drawing. Speaking of creating an attractive cover image for your artwork, you also do need a very attractive website to lure in those clients and customers. That's why I'd also like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Hostinger. Hostinger's AI website builder requires no technical or coding skills for you to create a website. You can use this for your online shop or online portfolios. Head over to hostinger.com/mewtripled. I'm gonna go with the business plan because it offers e-commerce tools that will help me sell the rest of my zines. So if you're serious about becoming a full-time artist, I would say that 12 months is probably going to give you the best bang out of your buck. And once you go to checkout, you want to include the code MEWTRIPLED for 10% off. So afterwards, we're going to fill out some onboarding details. I kind of want a website that will kind of be a catch-all for all of the things I offer as an artist. So I'm going to kind of promote my art career journey up front. And here I'm going to upload all of the products that I sell that people can buy. And then here I'm going to put my portfolio. And then I'm also going to create a tab for my art career journey trip. And if you need any assistance in kind of just knowing where your customers' eyes are gonna go, you can use their AI heat map detector, which predicts visitor behavior visits so that you can determine how you want to choose how to list your products, or maybe change the photo of one of your products so that you can make that bag as an artist. For a website and free domain, it costs as little as $3.99 a month, which helps save a lot of money as well. So check out the link down below, hostinger.com/mewtripled, to get 10% off and start saving when building your website. So the next thing might be a little bit controversial, but I actually think that Reels sometimes can be damaging to your Instagram account, especially if the type of Reels you post are not really that interesting. Even though Reels are very well known to attract new viewers to your page, for me, I sometimes feel like it just does not ever reach the same level of engagement as my comics. So carousel posts still stand through the test of time, and I'm personally probably gonna focus on that more. But if you create Reels that don't really create value for people and they're kind of just following a meme, I think it can be very short-lived and entertaining, but in the overall grand scheme of things, it could lead to people eventually unfollowing you or not really being interested in your work. So I wouldn't say to not do Reels or to do more Reels. It's more like if you are going to do more Reels, be careful with what you make in them. So another thing that I've been recently learning about on Instagram is that they really do value that one-on-one interaction, or how much people send things to each other in the DMs. Because if you think about it, a lot of us are in a real relationship with someone where when you see something funny or interesting, you send it to your friend. And usually that's kind of how things get passed around to get more exposure and engagement on Instagram. So anything that is shareable is ultimately gonna receive more likes, views, more engagement, and you might be wondering, how do you make your art more shareable? Well, usually if you have a story or something in the artwork that is evoking or describing something the viewer themselves cannot put into words, I find that that usually performs well, and it might be a little bit harder to do with standalone illustrations, but people read these comics and they share it on their stories and they send it to people, and they usually comment things like this. You want to provide examples of what people have always wanted to say but could never put into words. And the ways that I would kind of think about this for illustrations and paintings is starting to think of your work as more of what type of vibe or feeling do you want to evoke with it. If you want to create a scene of like the cherry blossoms in Japan, and this is the type of image that you yourself have always envisioned and wanting to be a part of, you want to create a scene that people who look at your illustration can be like, wow, I want to be in this painting. And then lastly is engaging with people in your DMs, which, you know, I think it's gonna be very impossible for a lot of popular artists to ever get back to every single person in their DMs. I personally struggle with this myself, but when you are starting to promote things on Instagram nowadays, it's not usually great to say, check out the link in my bio, because nobody's gonna check out the link in your bio. So what I would recommend for people to do nowadays is to set up some sort of automation with your DMs, and I personally use this app called ManyChat, where basically if people comment a word on my post, I could just send them an automated message of whatever. And sure, I know it's not really me like responding to every individual person at the end of the day, but it's still a way of me being able to communicate and share this thing with as many of you as possible without me burning myself out and just being like, I'm never gonna be on Instagram again. Link in bio might be a little bit more of an extra step for people to have to then click out of your post, go back on your page, then go through the list of all your different websites and then click on that thing. Anyway, those are just kind of my tips for this video as to why people might not really be engaging with your work. So you don't need to do all of these things right now. You can slowly implement them as they feel like they fit with your art content strategy. So yeah, thank you to Hostinger for sponsoring today's video, and I will see you all in the next one.